This is Canadian Cult Cinema. Curtains is a 1983 Canadian mystery/thriller film directed by Richard Ciupka and starring Samantha Eggar, Linda Thorson, and John Vernon. Spoilers abound from here on in, so you've been warned. The film opens with Samantha Sherwood, played by Samantha Eggar, delivering a monologue on stage about a woman killing her loved one she found in bed with another woman. We are then introduced to Jonathan Stryker, a famous director. He and Samantha go see a doctor at a mental hospital. The doctor asks about their new film.
It's an honor to have you here, Miss Sherwood. I'm a longtime fan of yours. I am looking forward to seeing Audra.
The film has been shelved, temporarily.
Now, the actual film was shelved for 2 years to do rewrites, reshoots, and even recasting. Samantha is clearly depressed, and she even attacks Stryker. She's put in a straitjacket, but this is just a ruse so Samantha can pretend to be crazy so she can get experience for an upcoming film role.
Are you all right, darling?
You almost took my head off.
Well, the thought did occur to me.
What a performance.
Method acting.
Samantha quickly begins to see the error in falsely admitting herself to a mental asylum. She finds out that Stryker's going to go ahead with the movie anyway without her and is going to leave her there in the asylum to rot. We're then introduced to Patty, played by Lyne Griffin. She's doing a stand-up set, but delivers some exposition.
Now, kind of imagine this. 6 actresses going to the same house to audition for the same part. Well, it sounds like a lot of fun if you like bloodbaths. I mean, I can see it now, the actor saying to me, "Excuse me, but I think that's my knife in your back."
Samantha has had some help getting out of the asylum and, she is pissed.
Well, aren't you in enough trouble already? By now they're bound to know you've escaped.
Let them come after me. What I have to do won't take long.
One of the other potential actors is killed in her apartment by someone wearing an old lady mask, even before she can get to the audition. We're then introduced to all the actors vying for the role of Audra in Stryker's film. -1, of course, and then, surprise, surprise, Samantha shows up. We then get some brief introductions to the actresses' personalities. The slutty one,
I'd fuck for it.
the funny one,
Don't much want the part, huh?
the innocent one. Christy, the young innocent one, sleeps with the director, and Samantha sees him coming out of her bedroom. The next morning, in one of the most Canadian scenes ever, Christy goes ice skating on a nearby pond, while, of course, listening to Burton Cummings. She then finds a doll laying in the snow and is killed by someone wearing an old lady mask, while, of course, on ice skates. Later that day, our director explains that Christy has left, and the other actors are now going to have to show us their acting prowess. He then gives Samantha a mask to wear. It's the old lady mask. And then there's a guy getting drunk and driving a snowmobile, because, I guess, Canada. On a side note, in the small town where I grew up, snowmobiling was a common pastime in the winter, and occasionally you would run into RCMP officers on the trail administering sobriety tests. Yep, that's a thing that actually happens. Brooke, the veteran actress, but not as veteran as Samantha, discovers Christy's severed head in a toilet bowl. She then frantically informs Stryker of what she's seen, but when they go back to her bathroom, the toilet is empty. And then Stryker comforts Brooke with his penis, and Samantha finds them post-coitus. Lorraine is dancing in her room upstairs, and then the killer comes in and stabs her to death. Or, I think she gets stabbed to death, we don't see it. Brooke and Stryker are both shot dead by a mysterious figure in a robe. Tara attempts to get away, but the car won't start. Now, normally, I'd roll my eyes at this cliche, but it's the dead of winter in Canada, so, that's an actual possibility. Tara takes shelter in Stryker's shed full of movie props, and the killer, now in an old lady mask, comes after her. Tara knocks out the killer and then discovers Lorraine's body hanging in the prop shed, but the killer comes back and dispatches Tara off-screen. We then cut to Patty opening a champagne bottle in the kitchen. Samantha walks in and tells Patty about Stryker's treachery for having abandoned her in the asylum. She also admits to having killed Stryker and Brooke.
Tell me what you've done.
I killed Stryker. You want to call the police? Go ahead. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, Patty seems disappointed and angered by Samantha's confession, before revealing that she had murdered the other women to win the role of Audra.
You did it too.
She then proceeds to stab Samantha to death. We then finally cut to Patty doing her stand-up routine from earlier, except she's actually in an insane asylum. Curtains is an entertaining whodunit. You know Samantha is a red herring. Hell, she's even dressed in red for a good portion of the movie. But her stay in the asylum could have driven her mad, maybe? Patty is a likable character that you don't expect to be the killer. Mysteries are hard to pull off and give you a satisfying ending, and Curtains is no different, but it's an enjoyable ride. Some of the actresses didn't get a lot of development, so at one point I got confused as to which one was which. But you know what? The movie does look great. I just wish they actually shot or at least put some more of those kills on screen. Like I mentioned, our killer Patty was played by Lyne Griffin. Now you might remember her from Black Christmas or Strange Brew. Besides being our unhinged killer, she's very likable. She even wrote her stand-up routine and performed it in front of a live audience at the famous Yuck Yucks Comedy Club in Toronto. Leslie Donaldson, who played the figure-skating Christine, is a bona fide Canadian scream queen. Besides being in Curtains, she was also in Funeral Home, Deadly Eyes, and Happy Birthday to Me. John Vernon delivered a great performance as our scummy director Jonathan Stryker. Now, Vernon is probably best known as the Dean from Animal House. His character was apparently based on Klaus Kinski. In the beginning of the film, the direction is credited to Jonathan Stryker. Now, the film was actually directed by Richard Ciupka, or at least partially, and I'll get into that in a minute. Ciupka actually directed 14 episodes of the Heritage Minutes. Now, for those of you who aren't Canadian, Heritage Minutes are short films about Canadian history that are played on TV instead of commercials. And they cover a variety of topics like the Halifax explosion, responsible government, and Superman. Yes, that's right, he might have fought for truth, justice, and the American way, but, well, we claim ownership to him.
No one's gonna read a comic strip about a strong man in tights, Joe. It'll never fly.
Fly, no. But he can leap over tall buildings. Oh, wow, yeah.
See what your cousin Frank says in Toronto.
Wait, Lois. I've got something for you. Here, take it. It's a gift. You never know, it might be worth something someday.
Curtains began filming on November 10th, 1980 in Muskoka, Ontario, and in Toronto. The film had a troubled production, ultimately leading to the film being shelved for over a year, during which time there were rewrites, reshoots, and even one major recasting. As a result, there are two sets of credits gracing the ending of Curtains, divided between Act 1 and Act 2, denoting the two different protracted production periods. Eventually, numerous crew members had to be rehired to shoot footage to complete the film. Curtains' troubled production stemmed from a clash between the film's director, Richard Ciupka, and Simcom producer Peter Simpson. Ciupka envisioned the film as more of an art house thriller, whereas Simpson just wanted a more commercial slasher film. Director Ciupka left the movie after only shooting 45 minutes of film. Producer Peter Simpson was forced to take over the shoot. The final chase scene in the prop house was filmed by Simpson over a year after the initial production, as well as the ending murder scene between Samantha and Patty. Deleted scenes included a backstory sequence where, prior to arriving to Stryker's retreat, Christine is emotionally rejected by her skating coach. This scene was intended to show the character's vulnerability when she is again rejected by Stryker. The scene was shot 2 years after initial production on a college campus, but never made it into the final cut. Curtains was released theatrically in the United States on March 4th, 1983, and in Canada in 1984. There was no official premiere for the film, although star Lyne Griffin did recall going to see the movie on opening night in a theater in Lower East Manhattan. Curtains was a hard-to-find gem for a very long time. Synapse Films recently did a really great Blu-ray release of it, and you might just be able to find it streaming somewhere. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Canadian Cult Cinema. Please hit that like and share button, and don't forget to subscribe. If you can, please tell a friend about the show. Help spread the word, I'd really appreciate that. And I promise you, there won't be such a long break between episodes next time.